Have you ever looked at your pet and wondered, is anyone actually home? When your cat sits on the fridge judging you, or your dog barks at a leaf blowing in the wind, it's easy to wonder if they are just biological robots. Are they basically NPCs, non-playable characters, just running on genetic coding, reacting to sights and smells? Or is there a player inside? Do they possess an inner voice? Do they wake up, stretch, and think, I am a dog, and I am hungry? For hundreds of years, humans arrogantly assumed that we were the only VIPs in the universe with self-awareness. We believed that animals didn't have a sense of self, but recently, scientists decided to actually test this theory, and what they found completely shattered our understanding of the animal mind. It turns out, the better question isn't if animals know they exist. The question is, how do they know? Today, we're going to look at the ingenious, mind-bending tests scientists use to measure consciousness. From the mirrors that trick our pets to the alien intelligence of the octopus, by the end of this video, you will never look at an animal the same way again. If I put a mirror in front of you, you immediately know the reflection is you. You might fix your hair or check your teeth. This is because you possess self-recognition. In 1970, a psychologist named Gordon Gallup Jr. realized that if an animal could recognize itself in a mirror, it must have a concept of self. Thus, the mirror test was born. The test is elegantly simple. Scientists secretly place a colored mark, like a bright red dot, on an animal's body in a place they can only see in a reflection, like their forehead. If the animal looks in the mirror and reaches up to touch the mark on their own body, they pass. They know the reflection is them. So, who passed? Chimpanzees and orangutans passed with flying colors. They didn't just touch the dot. They used the mirror to look inside their own mouths and groom themselves. Then, researchers tested dolphins. Since dolphins don't have hands, scientists drew temporary marks on their sides. When released, the dolphins immediately swam to reflective glass in their tanks. They twisted, twirled, and exposed their marked bellies to the glass, inspecting the foreign mark. They passed. But it wasn't just mammals with massive brains. Enter the European magpie. This bird has a brain the size of a walnut. But when scientists put a colored sticker under its beak, the magpie looked in the mirror, realized something was wrong, and immediately used its claws to scratch the sticker off its own throat. Apes, dolphins, elephants, and even birds passed. They proved they possess a self-concept. But this is where the science hit a massive, hilarious roadblock. Because if birds and fish can pass the mirror test, why do our beloved pets fail so incredibly hard? We've all seen the videos. You put a mirror on the floor, and your dog tries to play with the stranger dog. Your cat puffs up its tail and prepares to fight the evil dimension cat. Or worse, they just ignore the mirror completely. According to the mirror test, cats and dogs are not self-aware, but any pet owner will tell you that's ridiculous. So, what's going wrong? The problem is human arrogance. Humans are highly visual creatures. We experience the world through our eyes. So, we designed a test based entirely on sight. But asking a dog to recognize itself visually is like asking a human to recognize themselves based on the frequency of their heartbeat. It's the wrong sense. To a dog, vision is secondary. Their universe is constructed out of smell. To prove dogs are self-aware, a cognitive biologist named Mark Bekoff invented the olfactory mirror test, also known as the sniff test. Bekoff spent 5 winters tracking his own dog, Jethro. He moved snow that Jethro had peed on, and snow that other dogs had peed on, and timed how long Jethro spent sniffing them. Jethro spent almost no time sniffing his own scent. He already knew it was him. Later, scientists took this further. They took dogs' urine and added an extra foreign scent to it, the equivalent of putting a red dot on their forehead. When the dogs smelled this altered scent, they spent significantly more time investigating it. They were essentially saying, wait, this is my scent, but something is on me. Dogs do recognize themselves. They just do it through their nose. And what about cats? Cats don't care about mirrors because a reflection has no smell and makes no sound. To a cat, the mirror is clearly a fake object, but cats demonstrate self-awareness through what scientists call spatial body awareness. A cat knows exactly where its body ends and the environment begins. They can calculate a jump to the exact millimeter. They use their whiskers to measure if their specific body mass can fit through a tight gap. They don't need a mirror to know they exist. They feel their own existence perfectly within their environment. So, our mammals and our pets are officially self-aware. But what happens if we look at a creature that is completely unlike us? An animal that is practically an alien. Humans and dogs share a common ancestor if you go back far enough. But our evolutionary path split from the octopus over 500 million years ago. The octopus doesn't have a centralized brain like we do. Instead, 2/3 of its neurons are distributed throughout its 8 arms. Its arms can literally taste, touch, and make independent decisions without asking the central brain. If an octopus loses an arm, that severed arm will still try to catch food and move it to where a mouth used to be. So, how can a creature with 9 mini brains possibly have a unified sense of self? How can it know it exists? Because the octopus doesn't rely on sight the way we do. It fails the mirror test. But scientists have discovered that octopuses possess a shockingly high level of consciousness through their behavior, specifically spite and play. In various aquariums, there are documented cases of octopuses deciding they simply do not like a specific human. At the University of Otago in New Zealand, an octopus took a disliking to one specific staff member. Every time that person walked past the tank, and only that person, the octopus would shoot a jet of cold water at the back of their neck. To hold a grudge, you must have a concept of me versus you. They also experience boredom. Octopuses have been observed inventing games. They will take a floating pill bottle, push it into the water jet of the tank's filter, watch it bounce back, and catch it over and over again. They are literally bouncing a ball against a wall to pass the time. You cannot experience boredom or invent a game to entertain yourself unless you are aware of your own conscious experience. The octopus knows it exists. It just experiences that existence through the taste of the water and the complex movements of its 8 arms. So we have birds passing mirror tests, dogs recognizing their own scent, and octopuses playing games and holding grudges. For decades, the scientific community hesitated to use the word conscious when talking about animals. They called it instinct. They called it conditioning. But in 2012, that changed forever. A group of the world's top neuroscientists gathered at Cambridge University to review all the data on animal brains and behavior. At the end of the conference, they signed an official document called the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness. They declared unequivocally that humans are not the only creatures with the neurological hardware for consciousness. Mammals, birds, and creatures like the octopus all possess the structures necessary to generate conscious states. They feel pain, they feel joy, they dream, they remember. When we ask, do animals know they exist? The problem isn't with the animals. The problem is with our definition of the word know. We expect animals to think like humans. We want them to ponder philosophy or write poetry. But animal consciousness isn't a broken or lesser version of human consciousness. It is entirely its own thing. A dog's sense of self is a rich, 3D tapestry of smells that tells a story of time and identity. A bird's sense of self is tied to the magnetic fields of the earth, guiding it across oceans. An octopus's sense of self is a multitasking symphony of touch and taste spread across 8 limbs. They don't think in human words, but the lights are on. Someone is home. So, the next time you catch your dog staring blankly at the wall, or your cat locks eyes with you from across the room, remember that you aren't looking at a biological robot. You are looking at a unique, conscious being. They are the absolute center of their own universe, just like you are the center of yours. They know they exist, and more beautifully, they know you exist too. What is the smartest, weirdest, or most human thing your pet has ever done that proved to you they knew exactly what was going on? Let me know down in the comments.